So first question today I have to ask is, do you feel at all like we're cheating on early edition by being here?
Well, if we're going to cheat, you might as well do it at Varsity Dome.
See? Yeah.
Good place, obviously.
Yeah.
A lot of history and nostalgia. So looking forward to partaking in some of their pastries afterwards.
I know. I thought about having some to start, but I don't know. And then I think we have some of the TC women's basketball staff over here. Yeah. We can invite them over here to see if they have thoughts, but
probably not.
We'll just let it go. So the first question I have, played Georgia on Saturday, and I have some questions about like the Big 12 SEC Challenge. Do you guys like breaking out of the conference this part of the year to do this, or is it something you'd rather not do this time of year?
I mean, if you win, if your league wins, it's great. Yeah. If not, then it's a bad idea. It's one of those things where you got a good opponent and this could help or hurt you, but it's still appealing because you want to play somebody good. And when you're in a league like ours, everybody's good. It's a tough out every night. But fortunately for us, we're at home. Obviously, this challenge is a lot tougher when you go on the road at some of the good places.
Right. Is it something, do your players, we talked earlier in the year once about how everyone knows everyone in the league. Do they like the difference of breaking out of the monotony and playing somebody they haven't seen before? Is this exciting to them, or would they rather just stay in the league and keep going that way?
I think with this group, we played Georgia when Cam Berry and Dean were freshmen, and Maton was still there. Maton was the best player then. He's the best player now. So I think knowing him and how good he is, and him being back, and the three-man being back, so we know who they are. They're main players.
Right.
That's the advantage we have of our opponents.
I'm curious, you talked about hoping the league does well. Is this a time when you guys definitely, scoreboard watch when you're not playing? Because I'm sure you guys want the league to do well to help everyone's resume, for March.
Absolutely. When you're in a challenge or anything like that, you want your whole league to win because it makes you look better. It's all about, how many spots we get in the tournament. Right. So whenever your league goes to another league in a challenge and wins a ton of games, it looks well for our league. It looks well for your positioning. And obviously, when you're trying to look at seeds and stuff like that, moving forward, it is very helpful.
Right. We talked before we started about Georgia a little bit, and like you said, you're pretty familiar with them. For K-State fans who haven't watched them play this year, what kind of matchup is it for you guys on Saturday?
Yanti Maton will be as good as any big we've seen all year.
Right.
He's a double-double, 20-10 guy, non-con 20-10 guy in the SEC. So, and he's not just an inside guy. He can hit jumpers. He can bounce the ball to score, and he's 6'9", 240, 250. So, and his counterpart inside, his other big teammate, is about the same size, but he's very similar to DJ, big, strong lefty kid who scores around the rim. So they have some beef inside and physicality.
I'm curious. Coming off, you talk about how big they are. So a big opportunity for you guys this year has been rebounding the basketball. But a funny thing to me is you guys have gotten beat pretty soundly on the boards the last 3 games and won all 3 games. So what's allowing you guys to be so successful despite struggling on the
board? When a basketball purist, you hate it.
Yeah.
You're mad and you look. That's the one thing you get highly upset about when you look. The reason we're winning is because we're shooting at such a high field goal percentage.
Right.
Offensively, and we either steal it or they get, what I mean? And that's where it's at. We steal the ball from them or they've gotten an offensive rebound, and that's what's got to change. We're doing a good job defensively, but it's the second shot. We've got to get much better at defending, giving guys one shot on defense because we can guard. I think that's pretty clear. But when you give teams 3 and 4 opportunities and then it adds up to 10 or 11 offensive rebounds, that adds up. But I think what we've done a good job of is when you look at second chance points, we've been winning that too.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest thing for that is that not only are we winning, we're losing the rebounds, but we're winning the second chance points. So when we do get offensive rebounds, we are scoring.
Since we last talked, you guys go and beat TCU at home. Then you go to Waco and beat Baylor. We talked here after the Kansas game. You guys were 1-2, and you never had any doubts, I know, from talking to you. But how crazy is it just 2 weeks later, now you're 5-3 and sitting with a chance to – I know we were looking at Georgia for Saturday, and I certainly respect that, but a chance when your next league game comes up to move to first place if you can get a win.
Well, I think, we knew what we had. We knew what we did at Kansas, and we knew we didn't execute the right way. I think it was pretty clear to people how Barry responded social media-wise, how he felt about it, and Dean as well. So when those two guys said the right things, you ride with us or not. And Dean said, I completely trust Barry. You know, those are good things. As teammates, that's the best thing you can do for another teammate is to have their back. And once we knew they did that, we felt good about it.
With Barry specifically, I know you guys know how good he is, but did you guys know he was this good? I mean, there's people right now talking about if the season ended, would he be a Big 12 Player of the Year candidate for All Big 12? Did you know he could play at this level for you guys?
We knew he was going to be a solid player in our league.
Yeah.
You know, he took it upon himself to make him who he is. So the credit is for him. You know, we've given him an avenue, an opportunity to be a player. We saw things that we liked, especially defensively. That's the things you notice about him.
Right.
Initially, besides all the points, and he can score the ball. And he's a charismatic scorer.
Yeah.
So when he does it, it's in a big way.
Yep.
It's when you need it the most. It's at the end of a shot clock. It's over bigger people. It's sometimes with his left hand, and sometimes it's a bad shot, but he just has a strong will. So I think his will, more importantly than anything, we didn't know how strong it was.
Yeah. And as good as he has been, I was looking at numbers the other day. In league games only, I think Dean Wade's the only player in the Big 12 in the top 10 in scoring and rebounding. I think he's like third in field goal percentage, averaging over 20 a game in the Big 12. How much better could he play? I mean, than he is right now. He's been super efficient and doing more than just scoring for you guys.
I just think we need them to continue to lead like they are. Dean's been dominant defensively. I mean, he gets no credit for that side of the ball.
Right. He had 3 blocks against.
For what he does for us and knowing what we need to have done and taking stuff away and being a helper on defense, he's the best in our league at that because he completely understands our system defensively, and it allows Barry time to be a rover and go for steals. So, I mean, it's the honest truth. He does a great job of that, and offensively, we knew how gifted he was, and everybody knows when you see a guy who can do the things he does, and when he doesn't do them, that's when people question him. And, when is this guy going to show up?
Right.
Now that he showed up, that's the other way. People are like, oh my goodness, we need. I don't want him to keep doing this.
Right.
So
a couple of guys that I imagine you're really proud of who went through a bit of a lull and then have really bounced back the last couple of games is, of course, Mac gives you 18 against TCU, and you probably don't win that game without that kind of performance.
Right.
And then they only played 18 minutes. We had 11 against Baylor the other night, and he played well defensively against Oklahoma too. So he's played really well for you guys the last 3 games. It feels like
Max figuring some things out. If we could continue his development as a player, I think you've seen him grow offensively because of that development. Are consistently coaching him. It's easy when guys don't play well to throw them away and move on to somebody else. We've done it by committee, and we've made it very clear whoever plays the best is going to play the most. And then Coach obviously said Dean start no matter what. Right. But whichever one of the other big guys is going to play, you're going to have to do it the right way and come up the right way.
What was your first thought in your head when he banks in a 3 from the top of the key?
We just really ignored it because it was at a time where it didn't affect us in a negative way. Right. If he would have missed it, we still had enough cushion. Yeah. So it's one of those deals if it's close. Like at Washington State, it was tied or whatever it was. We were down 1. No, you can't shoot that match. But and it was late in the second half. But that's a shot you got to live with. At times he didn't know what to do. He just shot it. And sometimes you tell guys, when you don't know what to do, don't just shoot the ball. But that's one of those ones that went in.
Another guy, too, I was really impressed with. Ahmad hadn't played a ton as of late. Then he plays 21 minutes down there. And it's a big 3 for you guys in the first half when they had come back in the game. He got to break out and dunk with a 3-point play. It was good to see him kind of just burst back on the scene in that game, I felt like.
Right. His activity level had gone away. And that's why, Coach, sometimes the best teacher for guys is the bench. And him being a junior college guy, sometimes the ebb and flow of the season gets to him. And now we need him to turn that corner like that. A lot of times JUCO players, they get better that second half, and then their senior year they really have a great year. But we needed him to do that in that game. It was in spectacular fashion, the dunk and the tips and the activity defensively, along with Xavier. Those 2 guys, when we went on that run in the second half, it was all those 2 guys. Activity, steals, hands on the ball, great defensive effort.
You kind of walked me to my next question. So I know we don't know yet when Cam's going to be back and that kind of thing. But if you're looking for a silver lining in his whole injury, you talk about guys learning from the bench. Is there something he's been able to gain from being forced to sit down and watch the game from the sidelines for kind of an extended period of time?
I think he has. I mean, anytime you go, you're not in the lineup, and your team continues to play well.
Yeah,
you can reflect, and you can do it in two different ways. You can do it negatively, or you can do it positive, and you can look at it like, man, we're going to be really good when I get back.
Right.
And I think his approach is, I didn't know Cardi could do that,
right.
in a game, because Cam basically in practice has really had his way with him whenever they're healthy and they're
right.
both going at it. But now the benefit from that is that Cartier had to deal with that, and now it's easier for him in games to deal with fast guys, quick guys. Now he can keep guys in front where he struggled to do that early on in practice, and it showed in his game. But now, Cardi is pretty good. He's a downhill guy, and I think Cam's done a good job still tutoring him in the absence of playing.
Yeah, people, and we're getting ahead of ourselves, and again, we don't know when he's going to be back, but at some point it seems like he will be. People get worried that you guys have played so well, without him in this stretch, but won't it be a huge boost to have another guy who can probably play either guard spot for you guys a little bit and just give you minutes at a time when Cardi goes out, it's with foul trouble or Barry, it's tough, but you wouldn't have that issue with Cam.
Well, I think the biggest thing you got to put in perspective, Cam can get 20 and a half.
Right.
I mean, we've seen him do it.
Right.
So any guy who can get 20 and a half is welcome back into our situation. I mean, it's, when you think about good players and having a lot of good players, that's to your benefit.
Yeah.
It's to our benefit. We've had a guy be a starter his whole time here, who isn't playing, who's going to be, put back in our lineup all of a sudden. And what I think will help, he's rested his body too.
Right.
It's not only the foot, it's the physicality of his small frame getting banged up around. He plays hard, he flies around, he falls down.
Yep.
That's how he plays. And now he's been absent of that and really trying to get stronger in the same instance away from the game.
Something totally different topic, but you've been really, I think, polite and understanding of the fan base being at times, slow to get to games when I've probably been a little more impatient about it. I was really impressed and to be honest, surprised at how great the crowd was against OU, and another great one against TCU, and now you have two more home games coming up. How rewarding is that to you and to the players to see crowds like that and know you're going to see more of them Saturday and Monday?
I think it's, for a coach, you just want to coach games. And it doesn't matter. But for players and recruiting and all the stuff that's outside of the game, outside of the winning and losing, you want the game experience to be something that kids come to those games and say, when I was a sophomore, we beat Oklahoma.
Right.
When Trae Young is there, Trae's a 10-year vet in the NBA, we kicked his butt.
Right.
When I was a sophomore, and it was on a Saturday, and I remember we went to Aggieville afterward, and we got drunk and we had a great time. So all that stuff matters in the whole scheme of all of this. You want the memories of each guy who comes, or young lady who comes to the game, alumni fan, whatever, to have a different positive experience and to be able to remember. I took my grandkids to that game and we cheered the whole game. We never sat down. So that stuff is important. And I've been doing this long enough to know the ebb and flow of fans, the ebb and flow of kids and conferences and what we had coming back, and that's what we all said all along. It didn't matter where they picked us, because they were wrong.
Right.
We have all these guys back in the NCAA tournament team, and for you to think we're going to be worse, is not really realistic, because experience alone in college basketball breeds success. Now, everybody didn't have a Trae Young. They lost 20 games last year. If Trae's not back, where's that team right now?
Absolutely.
And that's the thing about it. We said, no, you got to pick them higher, because we knew what they had coming back, and we knew how talented that guy is. There's no way they're picked this low. And we said it, and I said it to you that before the season started, hey, these guys are going to be, this dude is really good, and they got a lot of guys coming back. You got a Final Four starter at center.
Right.
And, you have a McDonald's All-American point guard coming in who's dynamic. So it was only going to, it shows up, and it showed up this season for them.
You mentioned where you guys were picked, because it's funny you guys were picked 8th in the preseason, and Grant's got the camera, and Jeff and myself were talking last night. You guys were picked 8th. You're sitting in 2nd right now. You have 2 guys, and if they voted on the first team All Big 12 right now with Barry Dean, you might have 2 guys on that team. And I know you're not going to pat yourself on the back, but how good of a job have you done coaching when you look at what the expectations were, people outside the program, coming into the year. I know they weren't your expectations, but still people saw that, and that's not where you guys are gonna be for sure.
Well, I think you just talk about it like this. Player development is the key to any program, and we felt good about this thing when you had Wes as a sophomore, Marcus as a sophomore. We had those guys as sophomore. We talk about player development, and people see Barry and Dean. It's their third year.
Right.
It's going to go that way. And DJ, it's just, you're like, oh, we got to get another DJ. But that was 5 years into it.
Right, DJ wasn't a true freshman just dominating out there.
That's the beauty of it. And we started with those three, and I tell you that all the time. Cam, Barry, Dean was the start of the Surgeons. So we had to start over. And then as sophomores, we get to the tournament.
Yep.
What makes you think that guys who work hard and tremendous kids are not going to be better as juniors?
Right.
I mean, it's across the country. Everybody gets better if they stay there 4 years. And, obviously there's a one and done, there's a two and done. Those guys are important. But if you look across the board, the teams that are winning, they are mostly older guys.
Villanova doesn't have a bunch of one and done guys on their roster.
They're older.
Yep.
Their point guards are juniors, the best, one of the best points in the country. Purdue's third. They're extremely old. Probably the oldest team in the top 25. So that's how you got to look at it. It's player development. It's keeping kids there, and it's making sure they continue to grow. But at the same time, you got to win for them to see some more positive results.
And I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but it's fun to talk about. Obviously, you get to next year, and you never know what's going to happen, but on paper, everyone comes back. Now those guys are going to be, we talk about Barry and Cam and Dean are going to be seniors, but you're at a spot now, too, where you already have the second group behind them, In 2 years when they're gone, you'll have guys like Cardi, who will have started a bunch, X will have started a bunch, Mac will have started a bunch, and that's not even to mention other guys, Ahmad or Sean Williams or Mike McGurl or whatever. Does it look like you're starting to have the roster set up in a way where you always have to rebuild or reboot once in a while, but never have to probably do a major reboot again?
Yeah, that's when you talk about who's behind the guys, you got X and Mac, which is great for the future because they're both starters.
Right.
And you've got to have some carryover when you bring some younger, some older have to have carryover of success.
Yeah.
And that's the key. And when you look at it and you see Dean as a senior, and Barry and Cam and X as a junior, the thing with X, he's going through what they went through as sophomores with DJ and West. Those dudes are 11, 9.
Yep.
X is 11. You know what I mean? So those dudes are doing what they're doing ahead of him. But it makes him hungry because he knows. He always jokes at the end of when I'm a senior.
Yeah.
I'm getting all that.
He's getting his, yeah.
And so but it's good that he understands to be a part of the team. Some people have to have sacrifices. And he sacrificed everything to defend for us in the second half. He only had a 3. But defensively, he was a monster for us in the play hard chart and all that stuff.
Right.
And the emotion, enthusiasm, and energy, he had what we needed to get away from Baylor at that time.
Last question probably today, and we already hit on it some. But I do want to talk about the crowd because, again, you're going to have Georgia on Saturday in front of probably a full house. KU on Monday night in front of definitely a full house. I'm biased. I'm a K-State guy, and I know you are too. But when that place is full, you've been coaching a lot of places. How good is the environment in Bramlage when it's full and compared to other places you've seen?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's we've coached a lot of places. In the Dean Dome, Breslin, all those the really nice places that are nostalgic. And, obviously in Lawrence too. We have something really special. Hilton Magic, those are all similar. When we support our teams, it's always the right way. You go to a football game, when we've had packed houses, it's the right way, and it's especially when you win because it's fun, and it's that type of environment. Where we want to hear a certain song, but we're a little afraid of what
we asked about this last night.
Might happen if we hear it.
Yep.
It's unfortunate because our guys want to hear it so bad.
I know.
My wife and kids love that. They want to hear it. Yep. They would scream it out, play it during the timeout. They don't. We just hope when they do finally bring it back, we have the maturity enough to not say what we say.
Right.
So, but it's a special place. And our guys enjoy playing when it's back.
I always do this since that's the last question, but I actually did have one more. I just need you to comment on the whole Dean Wolf thing.
Well, I'm an 80. I grew up, 80s. Teen Wolf was a huge deal. He's a little bigger.
Does he get it?
He gets it. He laughs.
Yeah.
Dean's a really approachable kid. And he's a little taller than the original Teen Wolf.
Yep.
But I mean, it's something that'll probably stick as he continues to have success with it, and he'll embrace it.
He just needs to grow the beard out for the next year and a half. And
you know what? It'll be interesting. You know, when we see all the videos when Jacob Pullen was playing with the beard, and the guy in the crowd had the Pullen beard, and you know, we'll see. I mean, he said he might grow it out, but I don't think his mom wants him to.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate it.